Imagine archaeologists uncovering a medieval European coin, not in England, not in France, but in the middle of the American state of Maine. Even stranger, the coin was minted by a Viking king over 1,000 years ago. So how did it end up thousands of miles across the Atlantic, centuries before Columbus? Was it proof that Vikings travelled deeper into North America than we ever imagined? Or is there another explanation? In 1957, amateur archaeologists were excavating an ancient Native American settlement at Naskeag Point in Maine. The site had been occupied for centuries by Indigenous peoples involved in extensive trade networks. Among thousands of ordinary objects, one tiny silver coin appeared. At first, nobody realised how extraordinary it was. Experts eventually identified it as a silver penny of King Olaf Kyrre of Norway. King Olaf ruled from 1067 to 1093. That meant this little coin had crossed the Atlantic nearly 400 years before Columbus ever sailed. Today we know that the Vikings reached North America. The remains of Meadows in Newfoundland prove Norse explorers established a settlement around the year 1000. But Newfoundland is over 700 miles from where the coin was discovered. There is no evidence that Vikings ever built settlements in Maine. So how did the penny get there? One possibility is direct contact. Viking sailors may have ventured further south while exploring the Atlantic coast. Another theory is even more fascinating. The coin may have never been carried by Vikings into Maine at all. Native American people maintained enormous trading networks long before Europeans arrived. Goods such as copper, shells, stone tools, and furs travelled hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles between communities. If Vikings traded with indigenous peoples in Newfoundland or nearby regions, the coin could simply have changed hands over and over, until eventually it reached Maine decades later. In other words, the person who dropped the coin may have never seen a Viking in their entire life. Not everyone accepts the coin as genuine evidence. Some critics argued it could have been planted or accidentally introduced during the excavation. Others questioned whether a single coin was enough to prove anything. But extensive analysis showed the coin itself is authentic. Its wear, composition, and design match genuine Norwegian pennies from the late 11th century. Most archaeologists now accept the coin is real. The real mystery isn't whether it's genuine, it's how it travelled so far. The Maine penny remains one of the strangest discoveries in American archaeology. It reminds us that history is rarely as simple as we imagine. Long before Columbus, before permanent European colonies, and before maps showed the shape of the New World, people, goods, and ideas may have already been crossing the Atlantic in ways we're only beginning to understand. Sometimes, an entire chapter of history can fit in the palm of your hand.